Hello and welcome back to Total Traction Trading. So glad you were able to join me this afternoon. I thought you might get a kick out of this this picture that you see in front of you here. It certainly does summarize what we've seen over the last week, all the volatility and such that went on. So I thought this was truly appropriate. We did have a crazy week last week. The S&P finished down for the week, like, what was it, like 4.25%. Its lowest week since like 2023. I know that doesn't seem like a long time ago, but there's been so much movement that, yeah, we had seen quite a large uptrend, and now it really has been a sell-off, particularly on Friday. The NASDAQ fell 5.77 over the last week, and the Dow also went down substantially at 2.93%. So very, very crazy. People said it was even a bloodbath, but let's continue here. Let's look at what we have in front of us now. I do want to tell you also what impacted this last week is that we had the JOLTS jobs opening report that came out on Wednesday. We've seen some more labor cooling cooling in the labor market, I should say. Manufacturing came in and continued to show some slow growth, which certainly does impact, seems to be the Dow more than the other two of the major indexes. So that certainly what proved to be correct. Friday, of course, was the big happening, the big move in the non-farm payroll report. And it was expected we created 160 to 165,000 jobs in the month of August, and actually it came in much lower than that. It came in at 142,000. So you can imagine then all the expectations of what will happen in the coming weeks as far as the Fed meeting minutes that are happening on September 18th. So we don't know what's going to happen. Oh, also on Friday, a couple of the Fed members did speak, and sometimes you just wish that they would just stay quiet because everybody's just waiting. Are they talking bullish? Are they talking hawkish or dovish or whatever you want to call it? But it's just everybody's just waiting to see what's going to happen next, and trading on every little thing that comes out of someone's mouth or an impact on the chart. Does a dollar, what's going to happen with the dollar? So anyway, there's so many questions and so many variabilities coming into the market. I had mentioned to you last week that September is typically not a good month for equities and indexes. Usually it doesn't happen so quickly in the month that we see a little change, a little settlement, a little selling possibly. So it just took off, and this was a short trading week as well. So just so much happening. Anyway, let's get to our chart. This is the S&P, of course, the S&P futures index that you see in front of you. I wanted to point out a couple things to you. This is the daily chart here. This is a price action. This is a price level that I'll be watching, and I had been watching, and I believe I shared this with you last time, to see if it does come down and we get a bounce off of that. And the reason I'm expecting maybe a bounce is because all the consolidation that we had here in this daily price action. And that was over the 5th of August. If you remember, we had that quite the dip, and that was where we saw that low. So there might be some people waiting at about that point to jump in on the long side. So we'll see if it does get down there. It certainly came close on Friday, but not quite. So let's see if we have any momentum at all to the upside. Over here on the other chart, I have a 30-minute chart on the S&P again, just to show you that there was no momentum at all on the upside on Friday. And the reason, something you could be watching for here, what I have is this is the 8:30 open, the candle, the 8:30 open candle. This is on a 30-minute chart, and you can see it opened, it jumped up, and then it just came down, and it never did recover. Now, when the jobs report was first mentioned, we had some buyers. I think they were just anticipating that, and so we had a lot of momentum to the upside. But it certainly didn't have any kind of continuation in the volume and such. And there's the momentum certainly was not there, as you can see below here on my RSI that I always have on my chart. So there was just no indication of any momentum back up to a trend to the upside, at least on Friday. So one other thing I wanted to share with you all. This is the oil chart, and a couple of things that I wanted to mention. Now, oil oftentimes is negatively correlated to the dollar. Now, the dollar I showed you was at the lowest over the last year, last week. And so you can see now, but now the oil was down as well. Now, the dollar did recover somewhat this last week, at least it did on Friday. So oil continued its fall down. Now, as far as the S&P and the oil, now there is a strong economic growth that's correlated with both oil and the S&P. So if we have strong growth in our economy, oil typically will move up, will rise. But you can see here again that the oil just has not had any traction to the upside. Now, the price levels that I have here in the yellow, both of those were hit back in about 2021, after the COVID crisis, and it keeps retesting those levels. So we kind of be watching if it's going to do so again. Another thing that I have on the chart here, you can see this head and shoulder pattern. I wanted to point this out to you. So this is the head, which is at the high point on the daily, and I certainly hope that is clear for you. And this is the shoulder here, and this is the neckline. So the neckline it does act as support on the head and shoulder. So that's why I was watching to see if it did continue. Usually your head and shoulders is a continuation of the downtrend, unless it's inverted head and shoulders, of course. And it certainly did hold true on this formation. Again, this is a daily chart. So it's a very reliable pattern if you get familiar with it and read it. And then I have a trend line here to seeing if we do get a bounce on those levels that I'm been watching below. Are we going to get a bounce up, or are we just going to form a wedge? So it's also very interesting. Now this next week it's pretty quiet, thank goodness. We do have, let's see, the CPI inflation report is coming out on Wednesday. There might be, certainly going to be some reaction to that. But this is, like I said, this is a quiet week. There's no Fed members that do speak the week before the big announcement, and that will be coming again on September 18th with the rate decrease. The expectation that will be, of course, at least 25 basis points lower, possibly 50, but there is now some talk that it could be what they call a jumbo decrease, which is about 100 basis points or a full point. So wait and see. So remember to trade with traction, not distraction. Risk management, please. Thank you so very much for spending your time with me today. Remember to subscribe and comment. Thank you.